Hey, I was asked about my base defense, and so I figure give that a little bit of a go here. Um, One of the things that it's important to remember is the basics of like a base defense. So a a Corsair firing pattern is is basically it. Okay, so here's one of the things you have to remember. Every time a weapon fires against a target in a base, that weapon can only shoot at one target. So if I have a baby jelly in my dock and the weapon shoots at the baby jelly, even though that weapon can fire twice, that weapon can still only hit the baby jelly, even if it kills it on the first shot. So basically, you have to think of the your base defense as okay. This Corsair is firing twice in round one, once in round two, twice in round three, once in round four. And so when you think of it that way, you can kind of extend the fight based on what ships you have in. So I can have 6 ships in my dock. So that means it would take the Corsair 4 rounds to kill all my ships. And that so basically I have 4 rounds that my defensive platforms can go ham on his ship. And then I have 5 defensive platforms. So that means I have a total of 7 rounds of combat minimum. That's if my stuff can survive. Now, granted, I can't survive a shot from a Corsair from any of my ships, no matter how big or strong they are. So, the way I have set up is I want to extend that fight, and I also want to strip his defenses as quickly as possible. So, what I do is I start with the base of. Actually, let me say one more thing. Any ship that is attacking a station will attack the weakest ship in the most favorable combat circle as possible. So, like a battleship will attack explorers first, then battleships, then interceptors. Interceptor will hit battleships first, then um, battleships, interceptors, then explorers, and then explorers will hit um, interceptors, then explorers, then battleships. And it will go from the weakest ship to the strongest ship. Now, the way the weakest is calculated is by without crew. So that's so if like with crew, if a ship is stronger than another, but without crew, it's weaker than another, it will that ship will go before the other. It's just that's how the math works out. But now I start my defense with the the basis of the unbreakable quote unquote defense, and basically it just makes you punch a little bit harder. And one of the things I do is Yuki with max synergy was 20% of shield strip at the end of every round. Now, because she's on a baby jelly, there's a 70% improvement to the captain's ability. Now, which makes the baby jelly amazing. Like, if you don't have a baby jelly, it's good to have at least one in your capabilities. Really good, great for base defense stuff. But she will strip um, 20% of shield with a 70% increase. That is 34%. So 34% shield is stripped in every round. And so basically by round three, with just this ship in your dock, well, not just the ship will die, but with this ship in dock, in 3 rounds, if it survives, you have completely stripped the shields. But to add to that, you take Tilly, Green Tilly. She has, with full synergy, strips 30% of shields if defending from a player. So, um, so that basically by the end of round two, that's 98% shield stripped. That's pretty effective, no matter how big the ship is. Doesn't matter if it's a baby ship or the biggest ship in the server. It could be Enterprise D, and it will still strip the shields by the end of round three if the ship's especially if the baby's jelly survives. This ship doesn't have to, the Tilly ship does not have to survive. It just has to be in your dock at some point defending. Now, the other kind of important crew is Crass, Burning, and Hull Breach. It is good to have these because anytime you crit, you do more damage with the Hull Breach, and Burning does 1% damage to the hull of any ship at the end of every round that is burning. So that's always good to have. And burning Hull Breach also is very helpful for some of the things that I add to the ships. So one of the things, now I haven't fully tested this, but we'll go here first actually. King is something I use to help extend the fight. Hull Breach is needed for his ability, but if he crits, he has a 50% chance to delay the next weapon attack by 1 round. So basically it extends the cooldown of the weapons. I boost it with Pike, and then I also boost HG Worf with Pike. So I was trying to maximize his ability. Another ship that is very important, but not completely necessary because it's hit or miss. Pawn is like a great to have, but not a must to have. But a 40% chance to delay shots for 3 rounds. It is super effective when it works. Let's see, and then the last crew that I found, like when I put on Ortegas, it made such a big difference. And basically, any time the opponent shoots, she has a chance of triggering and delaying shots. And that, I think, combined with King, I have seen up to 3 rounds with no shots. Now, it's usually not that many, but I have just recently moved her to with Picard Bev to see if I can get a more consistent delay. And I'm going to test that, but usually I have Lorca here to give a 100% chance for Hull Breach, but just going to try it out, see what happens. But those are the crews. It is very effective. Let's go ahead and look at some of these defenses here. Let me look at one that I'm kind of proud of from last. Well, I'm going past it right now. This one, no. This one was good, but not great. I didn't have all my ships set up right there. I was just trying to. I think it was the one right here. So he hit me with his Corvus, and Pawn triggered. So if we go here, you can see Pawn triggered, delayed through 3 rounds, and it did a pretty significant amount of damage. Now, it limited some of the shots, but it didn't completely zero them out. It seems like to me the Corvus has been the easiest to delay shots fully. Now this one didn't have Pawn trigger, which that's the negative of Pawn is if I want to remove one crew, it's gonna be Pawn. So if you have 5 docks, I would do remove Pawn. But I had stung him, so that's another thing that's really helpful. Anytime you're seeing someone trying to like defend against another player who's constantly hitting their base, sting the player's ship. That makes it so much. You start with a round of no shots every time. It's really nice. And if you get Pawn triggering on top, you're up to 4 rounds with no shots. Oh yeah, I should show that, but let me do this real quick. So you can see he's got shots here, round 2, round 3, he's got shots, round 4, nothing. And so Ortegas and King have combined at some point to delay shots out of round 4. and there's a couple other battles that are something similar. So that's my crew. That's kind of why it works. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know. Hit me up on Discord.